everyone. This is Brian Fernando. He was in Wildcat Watch 2018 until he graduated in 2020.
Yep.
And he's now doing some stuff on his own right now. So
yeah,
I will let him tell you about where he's at currently and what he's doing, and then we can have some questions for him.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. So I guess I'll start where I was in your guys' seat. So I was a college kid just making videos. Like I started back in 2016 with a GoPro, and I was just doing this for fun. And then eventually like got to the college level, and I was like, what on campus can I do that like can host my skills and my hobby? And so Wildcat Watch was the first opportunity, and like it took me a lot of like it was just very accepting, and in the fact of like being able to have a space where I could get either experience or even money being able to do what I love. And so I think that was like the first real opportunity where I was just like, you can actually make money doing this, or you can just get a lot of experience and see things that you've never been able to see before. So like I felt like I was getting in rooms where I felt like I shouldn't have actually been there. Like there was a few opportunities where I was on the basketball court during the rival game. It was K-State versus KU. And I was like, there's no way I'm really like on the court, because this is just like people pay good money to actually get on the court or just be anywhere near the players, or just like come way beforehand. But I was able to just fly straight through, and I was like, you can get anywhere with a camera and you can also get paid doing it. And I was like, this is great. So that kind of opened my eyes to the opportunity of being able to do take your passion and hobby and then turn into like a full-time career. And so I was in college up until or Wildcat Watch up until 2020, and then COVID hit, and they gave us two options. They were like, you can either stay on campus or you can leave and go home. And a lot of people chose to leave because they're not going to be on campus during a lockdown, unless Manhattan was their home. And so I decided to leave, and my parents were actually moved to Texas by that time. And previously we all lived in Wichita for majority of my life. And so I basically grew up in Kansas, and then we move out to Texas, and going to a big city during a lockdown was just not fun, because a lot of the regulations and all that was just like during COVID it was just like a really strict. So I really couldn't do anything but kind of just go out and create. So I would just make videos, and just kind of like use old footage and just create videos. On top of that, I was just really bored and I was stuck to my house. So I was just applying for jobs and seeing if I could just, whatever was out there could stick. And eventually, I think it was August of 2020, I got a call from a real estate broker that I applied to. And this is in the time where I was just applying. I was like, what can I do to have that same feeling of Wildcat Watch? Like, what could I do to be able to have that feeling of getting the doors where, with a camera, and like getting to places where I couldn't originally go. And so I got a call from a real estate broker, and his name was J Marks Real Estate. And he was like, hey, I'd love to have you work for me. Your interview went really great. I just love your personality. And that's just all, he based it off of. And he saw my work, of course, but it was a lot of passion projects at the time. And so I went under his wing as an employee, and that was my part-time gig for like a good part of the year. And I eventually moved out when the restrictions started slowing down and COVID was going away, and I was kind of getting my feet dirty. Like I was just working, grinding, just making videos for this real estate company. So we were doing a lot of these, we call them Foodie Fridays. So we would do videos for restaurants, like local restaurants. And then we'd of course do real estate videos. So I was seeing all these like listings, and I was like, this is so cool. I get to try like really good food, and I also get to see these like really cool listings. And I would of course see like really expensive listings as well. And I'm just always daydreaming of the day that I get to live in one of those. But eventually he told me to come to his house. This was like a year later, so this is 2022. He's like, I need to talk to you. And so we went to his house and we sat down, and I thought we were going to talk about work, but he's like, hey, I have an opportunity for you. We would hate to let you go, but there's this guy named Tom Ferry, and he's essentially like a celebrity in the real estate world. and if you look him up, he has like 500,000 plus on all social media platforms. And his videographer just left, and Tom Ferry just moved to Texas. So he's like, I'd hate to lose you, but I want you to apply for this job because I feel like it's just like a God-given thing to keep you up the ladder and just keep you going. And I was like, that's so great. Like I have a boss that's like just looking out for me and giving me opportunities. And I applied for the job and he referred me directly. And eventually I got the job and I was doing full-time travel. It was a full-time position doing travel and podcasting and working in a studio. So he had a studio, like a video studio out in Dallas, and we were doing a lot of his shows, like his he'd have like multiple shows, including a podcast that he would stream, which his podcast was like top 100 in the world on iTunes and Spotify, as well as his YouTube channel, which we do these vlogs and travel seminars. So he would basically be the Gary V of real estate. So he would like go out and just talk about real estate and what you can do in the market. And so I was just shadowing him for the good part of 8 months. It was 8 months of just consistent work, like 40 to 60 hours a week, just consistently working. I had no life of my own, and I was just grinding, just grinding, just grinding. And I was really happy with the job. I was traveling all the time. I saw these crazy places. And what was like the best part of that job, not the best part, but a highlight for sure, was that we got to take private jets everywhere. So that was just like crazy because I was able to go on a private jet, like, and I was like same mentality as like Wildcat Watch. I was like, I've never like been into a private jet before, but like a camera got me there. So like I had that same mentality. I was like, I can get anywhere I want with a camera. And so that followed through, and it was just like manifesting in front of my eyes. And I was able to go to all these different states that I've never been to, have all these experiences and go into rooms that I've never been to. And like another highlight of that job was that I met Tim Grover, and I'm not sure if you guys know who Tim Grover is, but he was the guy that trained MJ, Kobe, like a lot of these super, super high up NBA athletes, and as well as other sports. And I got to meet him and film a podcast between him and Tom Ferry, and you can look that up on YouTube. That podcast is like 45 minutes, and it's just pure motivation. Like you could just listen to that when you're just eating a meal, and it's just like you'll come out of that meal just like a lion. It changes your life. And so like just sitting there, listen to all this motivation from Tom Ferry and like peers, I was like, you know what? Like I kind of want to like see what else I can get out of life. And I'm in my 20s right now, and I kind of want to just like see if I can pursue something else, or like what my mind is really set to. And that was to create a business and do this like full time by myself without having a job. And so that was a huge risk that I took. And so in the summer of 2022, I decided to quit my full-time job and just go full in on a business for myself. Did the screen and just go black? Okay. And so I decided to quit my job, huge risk, and just went full in on myself and invested in myself. Because I just had this vision of just being able to do everything, but like on my own. And I kind of want to have that experience of being able to build a business. And so in 2022, I decided to build a business for myself, and I went full-time freelance. And ever since, it's been great. And that's what I'm doing right now. And it's just been great because I've been able to learn a lot of things along the way. And it wasn't like immediately like I have clients and I know what I'm doing. It was just like, it was really hard at the very beginning. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from that was the truth about self-discipline. And self-discipline is just like the hardest thing to kind of like learn. It's something that holding yourself accountable is just really, really hard. And that was something that I like really learned, and I learned how to narrow that down with like scheduling and all that. And when you build your own business, it really takes more than just being a videographer. You have to wear many, many hats, where you're being like marketing, and you're writing your own script, and you're doing the production, you're doing the behind the scenes, you're doing all of that stuff just combined, and you're literally doing everything a business needs just by yourself. And it took a lot out of me, and I'm currently doing it, and it's great. But where I'm at right now in my life is I'm actually switching to the next chapter. So I'm currently, and I had talked to Tyler about this previously, but I'm currently looking for to switch over from shooting to just solely editing, because my dream right now is to get back into that travel mindset. So I want to travel the US with my girlfriend in an RV, and we're actually looking at an RV right now. And so I just want to get back onto the road with just traveling and creating. And the reason that I picked up a camera was to do travel videography. Like, I loved watching all these travel videos on YouTube, and I'm like, I want to get back to that. So if I can get like an editing role where I'm just editing full time and just sit in my RV and then going to all these different places, that's like a dream come true. But um I guess like in the middle of all of that, I'm not sure if Tyler showed you that video of me flying the drone through the tactical fleet facility. That so like FPV was something that I picked up, and I promised myself after I got my drone license that I would pick up FPV. And so I got a drone back in 2017, and I just kept flying it until like 2019, and then 2020, roughly in December, I got my drone license. And ever since, I was just like, I'm gonna stick to FPV, and I'm gonna stay in that lane. And so that's what I've been doing freelance, is doing a lot of drone work as well as video work. But I'll give you a little insight on FPV. It's not as easy as it seems, and obviously you saw that video, and it's just like the crazy maneuvers. You're just like, how does someone do that? If you get a remote controller, so you can do a lot of research on this, but if you get like the remote controller that you can use for the drone, and there's millions out there, you can hook that up to like a computer, and you can just practice. And that's all I did, was just practice, 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 like day in, day out. I would just get hooked to the hustle of practicing on the simulator. And there's a bunch of simulators out there too. And it felt like a video game, but I knew there was real world application to it. So I just kept doing that and hustling on the simulator. And eventually I got so bored of the simulator that I'm like, all right, let me go buy a drone and let me fly. Cause like I just was like blowing out the races. Like there was these races that you could do online and stuff. I was just getting first place. And I was just like, I'm real bored of this. So I'm gonna start doing this in real life. And then the real life application came along, and I had to set up the whole thing, and it's a lot harder than you think. It's not like you can kind of just pull out stuff from the box and then just go fly. You have to like, it's just so meticulous to the point where like I was troubleshooting for 2 weeks, and I don't want to discourage you guys, but I was troubleshooting for 2 weeks straight, and I almost just gave up completely. Like after all that practice, all that money spent, I was just like, I'm almost done with this, like completely. But I'm glad I kept going, because eventually it started snowballing. And like after my first flight, which was actually really crazy, I went out to this field, and I had a wedding to do like right after. I went out to fly, and like I went behind a building, and my signal got completely lost and just crashed my drone completely. So like I had to get a whole new drone. My GoPro was fried. I got like a GoPro Hero 10, which was like the best one at the time. I think they're at like 11 or 12 right now. And that thing was just totaled, so I had to get a whole new one. But I guess just like the moral of FPV, if you're looking to get into that and do something similar to the video that I did, was you can't really give up, or you're just never going to be able to see your full potential. And that goes with anything. But if I would have given up during the toughest 2 weeks of the entire process, I wouldn't have done any of that stuff. And now I've been able to like get a bunch of clients just through that, because if I just pitch FPV, like I can do FPV, it's such a sought out industry, because not many pilots are out there doing it, and it's just so hard to get into. The learning curve is crazy, but if you get past that learning curve, like it's just one of the tools you can add to your portfolio, and then people are just going to be like, oh, you can do that, like I'm going to hire you out. And it just makes you way more valuable. So like if you just get through the grit and the mud of it, then you're going to be able to become more valuable just on the other side of that. So I guess that's like a recap of everything so far that I can think of. But I think that's 15 minutes. But if you guys want to ask me questions, I'm like more than happy to answer anything. And don't be shy, because like I was sitting in your seat at one point, and I'd love to answer anything. So yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for him?
Where's the mic? Where can you hear me?
You can just like,
Any of those.
Okay.
right.
Are you, can you hear
I
me
can hear
from
you.
here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does planning for a shoot like that, a tactical fleet shoot, look like?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I get that question actually a lot. That's a really good question. So for that shoot specifically, it took a few days to like, so we would do a day where would talk in person, and then we would like just kind of brainstorm the idea of like how they want to showcase their business. So essentially these FPV videos or are to like the entire point is to showcase a business in motion, and the best person to know what their business looks like in motion is the person that you're talking to, like the client. In this case it was the marketing manager, and she's in office all the time. She showcases the office through social media, so she knows how the ins and outs work of that. Of course she talks to the owner as well, but um it's pretty easy if you think about it. Like if you talk to someone that knows what their business looks like in motion, they do majority of the work. So then you just tell them like, hey, like I can do the fly through, but I would like to brainstorm exactly like where you want people at. So like we'd have, I think in the video we had like so that person, the lady at the front desk, she runs and like welcomes people at like when they come in. So that was like the perfect person to do that. And so like everyone's just doing their roles like as is, like a daily day in the life type of thing. And kind of just like coordinating that was easy because you just knew where everyone was. But the only tough part where people are like, how do you know when to go, or how do you know when to roll the tire, how do you know when to do things? That's where you just kind of tell them like, if you can hear the drone, then it's almost your time to go, and then when it gets closer you know when to go. And so that just kind of goes into play with like multiple takes. My best tip on that was to act like you're the drone, so you just walk the path as your person, and you just act like you have a drone in your hands, and like you just tell people go 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 like whenever you pass them, and then that way in their mind they know when to go whenever it comes to the shoot. And so for that tactical fleet shoot, we did about 2 or 3 takes of that entire thing, and then we were just happy with one of them. And no, I didn't crash through the tire. That was like the biggest, that was like the best shot. I think that was like, I show that video to people all the time, and they're like, how did you even get through the tire? How'd you like not crash? How's there no cuts? And I would like, the first thing I was fascinated with when it came to FPV was that like seamless one shot video where you go through an entire business or like an entire amusement park or something and showcase it all in just one shot. And that's just like unheard of whenever it comes to just using a regular camera. So yeah, just planning it is like kind of just, they're about 75% of it, and then you're just 25% of just making sure that their plan is, you know, just set in motion. So yeah, that's a great question.
Isaiah, you go.
Yeah, I have a question. So how'd you practice? So like what kind of drone did you have before your FPV drone? And then what type of shots did you practice using that? Because I have a Mavic Pro and I want to get more into like videography and like droneography, but like I'm like
Yeah, of course. That's a great question. And I will say that drones, so like a regular drone and a FPV drone, I would say it's like comparing apples to oranges. They're like two different tools. But you can it kind of translates in a sense of, if you know like your drone, if you just go out and practice your specific drone. You said you have a Mavic Air. Yeah, so like if you just use your drone and you just fly, like just go out and fly and just get as much practice as you can, it'll kind of get you that like edge to like eventually get more comfortable with certain things. So like eventually you'll start going through like more sketchier shots, and then that'll kind of get you that built up confidence. And I'd said that's like the only thing that translates, the built up confidence. But nothing else on that side kind of really translates because they're two different tools. If you really want to get into FPV itself, definitely recommend getting a remote, like a remote controller, and then just practicing on the computer, because that's your best bet of getting like a head start. And a lot of people think it's like the hardest thing in the world to even start, but it's so easy. Like I will tell you, like I couldn't even get through a little circle like, and the circle's like freaking 10 feet by 10 feet. Like I couldn't even get through a little circle when I started out. And then eventually, like once you get dialed in, once you get better, you'll start rocking it, and you'll just be a lot better than you think you could. And it just takes practice. It's like building muscles, you know? So
Anyone else? Okay, got a list here. Do you have any advice for students that are currently in school, like how they should develop their skills, or what projects they should be working on?
yeah, I remember. So it's funny because I actually asked that specific question to a guest speaker similar to me right now, and they didn't really give me a concise answer. But I will let you know before I answer that. There's not really like one said path. If you're like looking for like a path to go on, there's not really one. And I learned that the hard way. It's like you have to create your own. But I would say everyone's different. And so in your case, if I were to give you any advice, just try to shoot as much as possible, because it'll only help you rather than negatively affect your skills. Regardless of how bad or good you think you are, just keep shooting, because it helps when you just continuously work on your craft and your art. When I was at Wildcat Watch, I literally just took up as many projects as I could. Like I think there was like one semester I was like lacking, and then I watched Yes Man, the movie. And then like I eventually just started saying yes to everything, and I ended up with 3 different jobs doing video. And then I just took on like every project Tyler threw at me. And then that kind of just led to me being like more involved in my craft and just saying yes to everything within reason. Don't like screw up your school schedule, but like just say yes to like as many projects as you can tackle. And if you can't really tackle it, try to like get another classmate to help you out. But like just be as involved as possible and know your camera inside and out until you get bored, similar to the FPV simulator. Like once you get bored of like whatever you're doing, whatever's, you know, like the editing, the video, then start trying new things. I think like a key for me was where I got to a point where I was kind of bored with my craft. If you try to learn one new thing every time you're in the lab just editing, like just even if it's small transition, you'll get like more enticed to do more edits, because you're like, oh, like that dopamine just from learning that thing and then making a video from that like real cool thing that I just did, like really does help. So like just try to learn new things, and it sounds cliche, but learn new things and just shoot as much as you want or as much as you can. Yeah.
Sweet. So another question we have is, what were some of the challenges that you faced while you were trying to find jobs, or while you like have been freelancing, specifically like, you know, video wise, and just like
Yes, so
finding
I
jobs?
actually deal with that on a daily basis. I would say the only thing, or there's multiple things. So I would say like definitely keeping yourself accountable. So like if you're not reaching out or you're not actually in the motion of like keeping yourself accountable to like reaching out and finding clients or jobs, that's going to be like, it's just as much work as you put in is what you're going to get out of it. So it's not like everything's going to land in your lap. Some things will, and then I don't want you to like dwell on that, be like, oh, like this landed in my lap, so then I can just kind of wait around for the next opportunity to land in my lap. You have to like reach out. And I would say like I don't know if college hates this, but like ChatGPT has helped a lot with like creating emails. And a lot of people are like they're so against AI, and there's this huge, you know, conversation about it. But like it's a tool that you use. It's like people that were like against the .com phase and like the websites, they were like, oh, you can never sell a house on a website, and now you can just like buy houses off of a website like Zillow. It's just that like utilize the tools that are out there. If you're not going to use it, your competition will. And so I just used like ChatGPT for emails and like creating scripts and stuff. But I make it to where like you can get down to the prompts where it's not giving you like this robotic generic email where it has no flavor to it. You can kind of just like tweak it to yourself and kind of shorten it down, because sometimes it'll spit out like a 10-page essay for like an email, and you're not going to want to send that because no one's going to read that. But I would say that's like the biggest thing is like if you're not utilizing your tools, not utilizing your resources and trying to open doors, then you're not going to really succeed in the space. And it sounds harsh, but it is the truth and it's the reality. It's the hardest pill to swallow is that you have to put in the work. And if you don't, then it's just going to reflect like that's just going to be a reflection of the lack of clients or the lack of money in that sense. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another question I have is there anything you wish you had known before you got into video production as a career?
Ooh, that's a really good one. Wish I would have known. Honestly, I can't really think of one. Wish I would have known. I don't know why I can't think of one. Yeah, that's a hard one. I'll have to come back to that if someone else has a question, but I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
What would be something you wish you would have known upon graduation, getting into the workforce?
Upon graduation. Well, I mean, it was different for me because like COVID hit and I was like, I didn't even get a graduation. So like I wish I would have known COVID was coming, but I can't really think of anything. I think honestly, like I think I did everything I could in the sense of like applying for jobs and stuff. It's just like so weird because my situation was so different because I really like came into a job market that wasn't accepting at all. Like there was no jobs to be had because everything was just essential work. And I was like, well, I can't be like I could be a news reporter or something or like being, but I don't know. I wish it's just like different for me. So I feel like I can't really answer that question. I don't know. Yeah.
Are there any specific skills outside of the actual technical like media side of things that you would suggest we work on or that you wish you would have prior to going into this?
Outside of like recording and like video and all that, man, definitely work on talking to people. That's like that's huge. That's if you know how to shoot and you know how to like film and edit, then like that's just I would say that's half of it. If you're like trying to build a business or trying to be out in the world as a filmmaker, you need to be like a person that someone would want to approach. Just be I think the number one tip is just be human. Like don't try to like have this script where you go up to people and like you want to tell them like about your services or this and that. Just like kind of introduce yourself and then just talk like as if you would talk to a friend. Like it's just treat everyone like your best friend and just talk to them normally. That's like the number one thing I could tell you to do when it comes to trying to find a job or just like interview process. And also like I would suggest building a portfolio as well. That's kind of in the scope of editing and media and stuff, but like that really does go hand in hand with being able to present yourself, because if you don't have anything to speak for, then you're not going to be confident in yourself. So just kind of just build yourself up in the sense of being able to talk to people and like ask the hard questions and being able to hold a conversation. That's huge. Like I would say that's about 50 if not 60% of the entire part of the reason why you'll get opportunities is being a nice person and being like someone that someone wants to talk to and connect with. Because I always tell everyone it's not about what you know, but it's about who you know, and that stands true. It's literally like I didn't for my full-time job, I think that was my biggest break for like what I really wanted in life was that travel and that being able to get paid and go into rooms that I've never seen before and like or that I shouldn't be in period. And I think if you just I didn't even apply for that job. Like I literally just I knew someone that knew someone. So it's all about who you know, the way you treat people. That'll get you so far in life. And it goes for anything. Like if you guys change career paths to like medicine or like it just anything, it's just you have to be a nice person. You have to be someone that someone wants to talk to. So just build your social skills up, like quite literally just go up to people, talk to them. It's not creepy. It's just it'll only help you. So just talk to people.
I think we had 30 minutes. so.
Yeah, no, and now you guys know Brian. And
Yep.
you guys have his Instagram. Feel free to reach out, connect, ask more questions beyond just this time. But thank you very much, everybody. Please.
Thank you guys.
Good luck with all the future work and the traveling.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys. Definitely follow me on social and I'll follow you guys back and then just ask me questions. Like I'm always willing to help you guys out. So yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
you.
See you guys.